Right. So, guys, welcome to the Extreme BPM. We do this Tuesdays and Fridays. We get to talk to people that make the music in between the week, Monday to Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. East African time, which is very early for you, Koi. But 1 to 2 p.m. East African time, we get to play music from indie artists strictly. That is what the entire hour is for that. And then Tuesdays and Fridays, we have conversations about the music. So this time around, I'm having the only member of the band in Love and War, and her name is Koi Anunta. Welcome to the show. We've been playing the song "The Devil and the Deep Blue Sea," which has an interesting title. Welcome to the show. How are you doing? How have you been dealing with all this craziness for more than a year now?
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. It's such an honor. I'm so delighted that you like the song and you've been playing it on your show. Your show is great.
Yeah.
Um, um, well, yeah, it's been quite a year. And it's been hard, especially as a musician, of
Yeah.
course, because I think our industry was hardest hit because we kind of depend on having a large crowd to play for, which is exactly what we still don't want.
Mhm.
So kind of put everything on the rocks for a while. But part of my story, which I'm not sure you know, is that I'm actually a medical doctor.
That's what I was getting to. I was going to tell you that, at one point, did you regret giving up one side of your career and going to music?
Well, this whole year definitely made me question. For sure. It was like, well, the best year to be a doctor is probably last year.
Yeah. This was a chance for you to. This was a chance for you to be a doctor. And in any case, how you went through Yale and graduated, and you're a medical doctor, and then you gave up medicine and decided, you know, you decided to choose happiness and freedom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the coronavirus decimated our entire world.
or,
but
or it was
but
the sign to tell you that you should go back to medicine.
perhaps but no, I say
You're still choosing happiness.
still choosing happiness, still choosing happiness. You know, there it's hard to describe how great it feels
Hmm.
when you can really reach people emotionally through music.
Yeah.
It's something that makes people, for the most part, happy, right? So in the hospital, everyone is there because they're sick. They don't feel well,
Yeah.
and you obviously can make them feel better. Of course, you heal their bodies and everything, but they basically want to leave as soon as possible. No one likes to be there.
They're
Everyone's
like, how
complaining.
fast can I get out of here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, if everything's going well, you don't see your patients ever, right? And
Yeah.
you only see them when things are bad and they're miserable. Um, and of course, with people's lives in your hands, it's a gigantic responsibility. For me, it's a constant stress. I worry a lot about them, and it takes a lot out of me personally. I can do it. I love it. I love helping people, of course, but it's for my personal life, it takes a big toll. And with music, I find I can, help people in a lot of ways that are mainly all positive, right? And it's positive for me as well. So that was really the choice. But yeah, when I'm not able to play, it definitely makes it seem like I should have just done the other thing. But
Yeah.
but things are getting better now, and I've been recording because I'm in addition to the original music, I'm primarily a professional violinist, so I record for other artists. So it's been all right, still surviving.
Yeah, there's that because the music is still being made. But then, at what point did you decide to choose happiness? Happiness, because I'm in the same boat, kind of, because I did statistics at the university, and
Oh
yeah,
wow,
and I also chose to do something to, to just to talk to people.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So, at what point did you decide to give up? And how long did you first practice, medicine and work? How long did you work on that?
Well, um, I basically graduated from medical school and then decided I didn't want to practice. So I nearly quit medical school entirely. And then my parents were like, no, 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 no. At least finish, get your MD, and then, you can think. So I did graduate, but then I sort of left in stages. So I graduated. I'm from New York. I graduated from a school in New York. Then I moved to Los Angeles, and then I actually worked in medical research at a cancer hospital. But it gave me a lot more free time than if I was seeing patients every day, because that's like a 24-hour a day job basically. So research was considering it's still quite a lot of work, but it was way more low key than actual clinical practice. And then I finally quit in 2016. So I'd been touring with other artists and playing and all that, um, but yeah, it was a good 11 years that before I finally decided to quit.
Oh,
Um,
oh, you took a
yeah.
while. I quit after 6 months.
Oh wow! You're better. You're faster.
I was like 2013. That's about it. Not being here anymore.
That's wonderful. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. You saved yourself all that grief.
Oh yeah, there's that. I don't. Even when like when some people look back and say, would you choose something different?" Nah, absolutely, I'll choose the same thing again today. Yeah. So you are touring. So then, how did you come up with the name of the band, In Love and War?
Well, it's kind of like a theme of my life. I think that I've always been struggling between the part of my personality that's very science and math oriented, because I am like super analytical, but then I'm also like super creative. Like I love improvising music. Like in a jam session when there's a bunch of people, one of my greatest joys is just getting the violin out and making up stuff. So and writing lyrics and music, of course. So um, I feel like those are often not in the same person. So that was always like a very, very large divide for me. But I think um, in terms of a broader canvas than myself, um, there's a lot of sort of contrasting themes in life in general, you know. And for In Love and War, the sort of idea of, you know, when you really love someone and then when you really hate someone, both of those emotions often can be so strong they almost approach each other in the center with the strength of their intensity, right? So um, that's almost the middle ground for both completely opposite emotions, and for the same reason, nature and, like, technology, right? They're both seemingly opposite, but then there's a lot of common ground in between as well. So uh, for me, that's why the band logo is, if you've seen it, it's a moth, and then part of it is like completely natural, and the other part sort of reveals the inside where it's almost robotic. So it's just shows how, like, the inner workings of something can, if you peel back the external layers, it could actually be something totally the opposite of what you expect. So it's basically just a dichotomy of extremes. That's the short answer.
Yeah.
Still early, sir.
It's too early. Yeah. So then with you are playing for people first, right? As a violinist, and then why? Talk to me about the decision of deciding to make your own music now, because that can also be already lucrative for you. You can tour with artists and just do that for however you want.
Totally. And I love doing that too. It's a great thrill to play for other people and to play their music, and to put basically my spin and add my little thing to what they're doing. Um, I think in terms of what caused me to do it was sort of, again, a long journey. I've always kind of been afraid of singing, um, and I think a lot of people are. When the focus is on you as the front person, it's
Yeah.
really different than when you're playing violin. I mean, obviously, when you're playing, when you're still on stage, there's still thousands of people, but it's different than when you're singing.
Yeah.
So I'd always written lyrics, but then had my dog is howling.
Yeah.
Always had lyrics and original music since I was like probably 15,
Yeah.
but never really released it or did anything because I was afraid of it. And then finally in 2018, so many years later, um, I met a producer here in Los Angeles who basically convinced me that I sing really well and the music was really great and I should just release it. So I was like, well, he must know. So I was like, okay. So I did. I did. And I'm still kind of scared of it, but it seems to be doing okay. So it feels like it feels like a good outlet for me to, because like I said, I've been writing all this time, but never actually put it out. So
Yeah. And shout outs to the dog too.
I know. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So you managed to. I was reading through, and you've toured with a Grammy winner, Macy Gray, who is amazing, by the way. And I think she's going on tour again. I think in is I don't I think it must have been either this month or the next one, but she's going back on tour, I think. So talk to me about the experience of performing with her and even going on tour with her.
Well, I performed with her. I didn't go on tour with her, unfortunately. Yeah. But she was amazing. It was actually one of my first gigs in Los Angeles. Um, and it was it was actually fun because I played with her twice at a sort of large concert here in LA. And then um, I I mean, I thought I had done fine, but I didn't, have her, personal contact information or anything. And the funny story is that I was home one day and it was like 1 in the morning and I got a call on my cell phone and it was her. And she was like, come down to the record plant and let's record a song. And I was like, at first I thought it was a joke. Like I thought it was one of my friends playing a joke, and she's a very distinctive speaking voice,
Yeah.
and I thought they were just playing a joke on me because it was 1 in the morning and I had no prior warning, and I nearly like hung up on Macy Gray. Yeah, but then my better sense got me, and then I was like, oh, just in case, probably let's check, and it was her, and she did have a whole team down there at 1 in the morning. So I got there, like 1:30, and I got out of my pajamas and got into clothes, brought the violin, went down there, and then we recorded for like 5 more hours. Um, and then unfortunately that song never came out, but I did record with her in the middle of the night at the record plant with no warning.
Yeah. And you actually thought it was a prank, true.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the other thing. And with where do you feel the most comfortable? I know you're getting into because like there are people that I've talked to, and like I had an artist there I think about a month ago. He was behind the scenes writing for people, producing for people, but he wanted to be the front person. Okay, and he finally got to that point. And whereas you're coming from a different side of you supporting people, playing your part, and then now the spotlight has to be on you because now when we go to In Love and War, you are the front person and you're the one supposed to sing now. How does how do you feel about playing those two roles?
Still working it out. it's it's so different, honestly. If unless you've done it, it's hard to explain really. The just I think part of the self. You're just trying to analyze myself. I think I tend to be a more supportive type of personality. That's why I like helping people. That's why I like being a doctor. That's why I like playing violin in the back. um, but I feel like as I've grown older, like I'm starting to try to take ownership of the things that I bring to the table, and perhaps perhaps they are special. I mean, I'm still not totally convinced, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to sort of be okay with the fact that it seems like people do like what I have to say. People seem to like what I have to sing, and that it's actually a valuable contribution. And I don't need to just support other people's missions, which is also amazing and fun and rewarding, and that perhaps my own mission is worth supporting as well.
Yeah.
So, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think when you've done more of supporting as a supporting act, and then now the spotlight is on you, sometimes it takes a while for you to fit into that role and be the front person now.
I agree. It's also a skill just like everything else, And I've spent countless years playing violin in front of people, and I'm not afraid of that anymore. But the whole singing thing is definitely somewhat new, so hopefully I'll get over it. But
Singer?
I know there's a lot of major artists who are actually, because there's the stereotypical singer who's like very in your face, very center of attention, very,
Yeah.
extroverted.
Yeah.
But then so many singers are really shy in person and really reticent to speak, or give interviews like this. And I feel like I'm like in between those because I'm pretty extroverted as a person, but then a little bit shy with the singing. So maybe someday those words off. We'll see.
I thought we yeah, it's a work in progress at the end of the day. As long as you keep working on it, because there are people that even when I do this and we're having conversations, there are people that think I'm an introvert when we get off the mics, and because I always feel like I'm not a fan of more of small talk, so that's where it comes into play. Like you see, you're more comfortable when you're making music, and you're not an introvert at that point. But when it comes to maybe interacting with people, maybe doing interviews with people, and it might not get to what you want to always get involved in. Maybe sometimes, but at the end of the day, like you said, it's a skill to learn to interact with people and get to meet people and present whatever you have to present before them. So we've been playing the devil and the deep blue sea, right? What how how did you come up with this title, first of all? Okay.
Hmm.
And
Well,
even the process of making the song, what were you trying to communicate?
well, first of all, I just want to compliment you also on your. This isn't like the questions you've asked are amazing, and the background research you've done. It's really a pleasure speaking to you. You've asked me questions I really had to think about. Like I don't think I've even been asked these questions before. So, so yay for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You definitely like to talk about the deeper stuff. So Devil in the Deep Blue Sea is actually reflective of all of this. I wrote it about it's like a multiply layered metaphor. So Devil in the because I just overthink everything. Devil in the Deep Blue Sea is an English idiom where it's sort of like the other expression, you're caught between a rock and a hard
And hard
place.
place, yes.
Yeah. So it's like when you're faced with a decision where both outcomes are basically difficult and bad, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and a rock is also hard, so that's the expression. So devil in the deep blue sea is the same meaning, but sort of more fanciful language. And but I liked the the image of the devil, right? Because it's like a traditional representation of evil, like the devil sitting on your shoulder, right,
Yeah.
telling you to do bad things. But so for me, it's that, the devil's trying to give you bad advice into making a decision, except what the song is really about is paranoia. Like whenever you're afraid of doing things, it's like that voice in your head is creeping in, and the anxiety is creeping in, and it's causing you to do things you wouldn't normally do, or causing things to go badly when they would normally go fine if you were not afraid, except that voice is actually yourself. You are the one doing it to yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you're your own devil, basically causing you to be in this difficult situation. If only you could wade through the unnecessary emotion, everything would be fine. So that's what the song is about, actually. Trying to conquer your own fears of whatever it is that you're afraid of.
Oh yeah, and then the other thing is this though. What was this? What you were writing about this as a personal experience or something you've observed around you or with people that are around you?
Definitely personal, but it's not about anything specific. It's, the fear of quitting medicine and being homeless, the fear of having to sing and having it fail, um, the fear of trying to love someone and then having that fail and be thrown into your face. Like, there's just so many different things I thought of at the time, but nothing super specific. And that's why I thought it could be more relatable to everyone, because I think everyone has fears in their life that they struggle with. Um, and hopefully the song can have personal meaning to them, which is what I always hope for. Like, because I don't want to be like, this is my life and this is what happened to me, listen to it, I want to sort of touch on human emotions in general that I feel like everyone has, and then hopefully they can maybe either explore their own emotions or learn something from it. That's the goal, at least.
Yeah, I think that's a much okay. Some people like the personal part of it. Some people, and it works in some places. But usually, when you're trying to portray something like paranoia, which is usually a thought process based on past experience, you usually have to make it general so that people that have been in that place before can actually relate with it other than just making it what your experience is, because like you described about medicine and living that and doing and getting on to betting on yourself by
Mm-hmm.
saying, okay, I'm going to try this out with music and I have to make it work, or getting into a relationship and it doesn't work out, and probably the next one you're carrying all this baggage from the previous one and bringing it into the new one, the insecurities and all that. So I think it's good when it's generalized depending on what you're talking about, because that can easily make it relatable for many people.
Totally, I completely agree, and you explain it really well. Yeah.
And so then when you're writing, just say like when you're writing, what is the process like, and when how do you determine creating a balance between writing something that is for people to relate with and trying to take yourself as much as you can out of it?
um that's a good question. um I guess I start from personal experience because that's all I have. Uh, but often, well, I think that song actually. I think I'd actually was reading something in a book, and then I came across that phrase, and then I was like, oh, it's like it just struck like a particular chord in me because just the words put together just sound so beautiful, like devil, deep blue sea. Like I just started thinking, and then I was wondering how to relate it, and then um, so yeah, I write from my own personal experience, and then I think as I work on the lyrics, because, well, that's the thing, I'm unlike a lot of singers in that I write the lyrics first and then I write the music later,
Oh,
almost 100% of the time. I have like a shoebox full of lyrics, like thousands and thousands of lyrics, and occasionally like I'll pull out some and work on them and then like turn it to a song like when I feel it's ready. um, but yeah, I very rarely write the music first and then put lyrics to it. Um, I almost always just think in the words first, and so yeah, then I'll like think about it from my own perspective and like come up with some sort of like placeholder lyrics, and then sort of like I said, broaden the canvas to everyone and change it, and then I'll put the music on.
oh yeah, I think that's an interesting process, because a lot of people start with the melodies, and then write to that. But you start with because I think I've had even people that write poems and then turn them into songs.
Hmm. I used to do that a lot as a kid. Yeah, I had poems and poems and poems and poems, and then I realized, songs are slightly different than poems, of course, and then sort of shifted over to that. But yeah, always the words first. I always think in words.
Yeah. So we've been playing the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. That's what we've been playing. But what is that part of? Is it just a single that you put out, or is it part of something that you're working on that is a much bigger project?
It's part of a 6-song EP called Tessitura. Um, and the story behind the name of that EP is that a tessitura is the classical music term for the part of your voice that sounds better. It's not necessarily your actual range. Like, soprano can sing from here to there, right? But let's just say, like, perhaps like this is not the best part of her voice. Like maybe this part is. So that's the tessitura. So that's why I named it the EP that, because I felt like I finally felt comfortable enough with my voice to release the EP. So that's so it's 6 songs, all pretty different, but sort of in this general sort of atmospheric electronic trip hop sort of uh, mellow vibe. I think probably a good. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, and you worked on all this during the time of during the pandemic, or you had songs even that were before the pandemic.
Oh no, this EP was released in 2019, so it was the year before the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah, and then what I've been working on is a new EP that's almost done. That I've done through the whole pandemic, and that should be hopefully sometime this summer. I'm hoping several vocal songs as well as some instrumental songs.
And how is the difference between the writing between those two? With the pandemic and where you are more at home and with yourself, and even when you're writing with other people, sometimes you have to do sessions like this, and in order to write, and then versus the EP before 20, the one you put out in 2019, where actually you had interactions with people, and then you are probably in studio and working on the songs together.
Hmm. Yep. Well, that was definitely an issue in terms of holding up the recording because one thing I definitely cannot do is play live drums by myself. So I had to wait until we could safely do that. But we did actually already do that. So we were able to get in the studio with masks on several months ago and track all the vocal songs I needed. But one of the great things about basically doing all the rest of the music myself was that I can do it at home with a computer, which is how I did it originally.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. Um, but for this EP, I do have someone who has been helping with the production, Glenn Holdaway. He actually was the musical director for the live stream that I did in February, um, and he's been helping tremendously with shaping the EP as well. So we do work in person safely, and just one on one, so it's not too dangerous. And that's basically it. So there's not actually a large collaborative group, um,
Oh yeah.
and there really hasn't ever been. So that's part of the convenient thing about this type of music.
Yeah, you do most of the stuff yourself, and you are the one man band.
Mhm.
Yeah. Then with this EP that is coming out later on, what space are you in on that?
Well, yeah, it was there was a time early in the pandemic where things seemed so dire. You would think I would have written a lot, but when I feel like so sad or so angry, like it's like I'm totally overwhelmed and I can't actually write anything. It was only like when I started to feel like there was hope again that I could start writing again. And that's what those songs are like. They kind of start out a bit morose, but then there's rays of light throughout. So it's really kind of an album of hope. It's of hope and a little bit of optimism. So it's a little bit different than the other EP. It's much grander, much more epic, a lot more instrumentation. Um, the Glenn who is helping me is a trumpet player, so I have brass sections on everything, which I haven't had before, and that has added so much to the sound. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. really want it to come out. I can't wait.
When are we getting a single of that? Or you're going to wait and release the whole project at once?
Single first. So I think the instrumental first. It's actually being used in a music video that's being released. Someone commissioned me to write it. So that's being released first. And then I think the whole EP together. That's the goal. That's the goal. But perhaps a single. I don't know. So undecided. But I think it fits nicely together as a package. They were all from this period, and I think it's nice to listen because I think a lot of times, in this digital realm, um, often people do release just singles that stand alone, and then, um, I'm from an era where I really like to listen to everything together.
The,
Right?
cohe-
It's
the
like a
cohe-
journey.
you want a cohesive project, and where you can sit and there's a start to end, and there's where you're going, and but people don't do cohesive projects anymore that much.
Hmm. I agree. And it's because, it's time and money. And when you try to put the whole thing out, it takes so much longer. And they think, okay, well, I can just release singles. And I think that's totally fine. I think that's a perfectly viable way of doing things, especially if the songs are unrelated.
Yeah.
But I think mine are pretty cohesive. So probably the whole album.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's if you have a cohesive project, it's much better if you can give people the whole project so that they put the pieces together and they have the whole story as you want it intended to be, perceived from the project. Yeah, and so right at currently we are still vibing with the devil and the deep blue sea on the show, and that's what we shall play at the end of the show. But first,
Yeah.
how can people get in touch with you, and how can they follow you along this journey as you prepare to put out the whole project later on?
Sure. Well, there's the main website, inloveandwarband.com. And then there's the Instagram, which is the same thing, In Love and War Band. There's a Twitter, I Law Band, um, and a Facebook, In Love and War Band. So uh, any of those methods, and all of them are on the main website. So if you forget, just go to inloveandwarband.com, and everything's on there.
Yeah, everything is on there. I think people can should. I think the website is usually the best place where to go. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can get all the links to Spotify, to Facebook, to Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all that.
Totally, yes. All the live streaming um, platforms. The music is on Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, everything that people normally listen to. And I love responding to messages. So I've met a lot of fans that way. Just if you leave comments on things, like, I'll respond. So please get in touch with me and tell me what you think of the music. I love hearing what people want to say. If
Yeah.
you like it, if you like it, it's great feedback.
So, this is how we are going to wrap this up. With with doing performing online, like the way you said the show you did in February, and how you've been performing before, even before COVID, before the pandemic. Uh, how are you adopting to that, and and are you there yet in terms of adopting to performing virtually? Because I've tried several times to enjoy virtual performances, but it's a struggle.
It's definitely a new challenge. I think kind of the one of you know how to put this. Music is such an abstract concept, right? Like you're doing your music, but to do it in a vacuum is really difficult to do an authentic performance. If you're really singing from the heart or performing from the heart, you are putting this energy out, and then normally the audience receives it and then feeds it back to you,
Yeah.
and then it's this constant process where both parties, like, kind of like I was saying, they meet in the middle and go up, even though you're two separate entities. So, and that's what I'm used to. So trying to sing when there's no one there is so bizarre. It's one thing when it's a rehearsal, but trying to really put on a show for no one feels so disingenuous. Even when I know that there are people watching live, I just can't. BPM. So it definitely was strange, and it's strange for everyone, all the instrumentalists as well, even if you're not singing. And thankfully, it seems like we won't have to struggle with that much longer since shows are coming back. But I'd actually had ideas for technology to help develop, like, you know, more interaction during live streams. But like I said, it seems like we don't need it anymore.
Yeah, apparently, people are getting back outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to see. When I start talking to people, and because when during the pandemic, these are the conversations we had on the show. We don't know when this will happen, when anything will get open, so we would not even fathom the idea of when people will go back outside. And now, in the last few weeks, few days, we have discussions of, oh, things are kind of opening up. I might do this place that is a bit more, that will limit on the number of people inside, and we can be able to perform outdoor and all that. So I think
Mhm.
people are getting back outside, and people are going to get to perform, and it's good to see that, finally, musicians like yourself, because this usually affects people that are indie and are doing everything on their own. You live off doing these gigs, and that's how you manage to keep the music going.
Yep. Yep. It's definitely been, I mean, completely unprecedented. The entire world came to a stop. I don't think it's ever, I mean, they say the Spanish flu in the early part of the 20th century, but I wasn't there for that, so I don't
We
know.
don't know.
But it's still hard to believe. Like, I have friends that are playing large festivals like Lollapalooza coming up in August, and I think we're so conditioned now. The thought of just so many people in a crowded place is scary to me. Like, I'm not used to it anymore. I used to love it. I used to love it when there were thousands of people around, and now I feel so weird if there's like five people in my space. So I don't know.
Like, what is this? I don't know. I don't know.
I know. I know. We'll have
I'm
to see. We'll have to
not. I'm
see.
not. I'm not yet there. I've like over the last few weeks, I've met people, and they want to give me a handshake. I'm like, I don't know about this. Can we just elbow?
Where are you broadcasting from? How are things there?
Yeah, no. As we are in Uganda, that is East Africa, and
Oh.
apparently, it didn't get bad as people were making it seem like. They were saying, "Oh, Africa is going to be hit and things will be different." Nah, it hasn't been the same. And actually, I think most people that aren't afraid of it, like I am sometimes, they are they are having everything going on as normal, and things are going on. It's just that now we have things of like what you see in India happening, of a new outbreak, and then South
Mhm.
Africa, and then now things become a little bit tighter again, because you remember these people travel, and some might come into the country, so a little bit, but otherwise it hasn't been as terrible as we anticipated.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's so great.
yeah, that's the better part of it. But nonetheless, so we are playing the devil and the deep blue sea. All right, coming in from In Love and War, and go to In Love and War band.com. Okay, and you'll check out all the social sites and the streaming platforms, and you'll check out the music and support that. And we're going to play that song next, and then we shall be back with the Extreme BPM. Remember, we're here Tuesdays and Fridays, so when you get this, or when you join in later on, and you're late probably to the party, you just joined in probably right now, you would have to go to any of the streaming platforms, and that is for podcasts, and then you search for the Extreme BPM, and you'll get all the conversations. Or else, better yet, still on the website in the bottom. I'm left-handed, so I usually have to struggle with pointing people to directions. So in the left, but in the right bottom corner, there is what do you call it? There is a feed for the podcast, so you can always go there and check any of the conversations that we had on the show. But Tuesdays and Fridays, we are here 8 p.m. East African time. Okay, the Extreme BPM. Thank you so much, Koi, for hanging out with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. This was so fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, and glad to have you on, and glad we managed to connect. And nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Yeah.